Good day everyone, I am Rica Ramos and I will discuss the Convention on the Rights of the Child. What is Convention on the Rights of the Child? The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child is a comprehensive, internationally binding agreement on the rights of the children, which was adopted by United Nations General Assembly in 1989. It is the most widely ratified human rights treaty in the history. All countries have ratified it with the exception of the United States of America and Somalia. The UN Convention consists of 41 articles, and each of articles details a different types of rights. And these articles are grouped together under the following four themes. First is survival rights, second, development rights, third, protection rights, and fourth, participation rights. The first one is survival rights. It includes the child's right to life and the needs that are most basic to existence, such as nutrition, shelter, an adequate living standard, and access to medical services. The second one is development rights. It includes the right to education, play, leisure, cultural activities, access to information, and freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. The third one is protection rights. These rights ensure children are safeguarded against all forms of abuse, neglect, and exploitation, including special care for refugee children, safeguards for children in the criminal justice system, protection for children in employment, protection and rehabilitation for children who have suffered exploitation or abuse of any kind. And the last one is participation rights. Encompasses children's freedom to express opinions, to have a say in matters affecting their own lives, to join associations, and to assemble peacefully. As their capacities develop, children should have increasing opportunity to participate in the activities of society in preparation for adulthood. So now let's proceed on the four general principles of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. First, that all the rights guaranteed by the Convention must be available to all children without discrimination of any kind, as stated in Article 2. Second one is that the best interest of the child must be a primary consideration in all actions concerning children, as stated in Article 3. Third one is that every child has the right to life, survival, and development, as stated in Article 6. And the last one is that the child's views must be considered and taken into account in all matters affecting him or her, as stated in Article 12. Now let's proceed on the articles on the rights of the child. Article 1. Definition of the child. The Convention defines a child as a person below the age of 18, unless the laws of a particular country set the legal age for adulthood younger. The Committee on the Rights of the Child, the monitoring body for the Convention, has encouraged states to review the age of majority if it is set below 18, and to increase the level of protection for all children under 18. Article 2. Non-discrimination. The Convention applies to all children, whatever their race, religion, or abilities, whatever they think or say, whatever type of family they came from. It doesn't matter where children live, what language they speak, what their parents do, what they are boys or girls, what their culture is, whether they have a disability or whether they are rich or poor. No child should be treated unfairly on any basis. Article 3. Best interest of the child. The best interest of the children must be the primary concern in making decisions that may affect them. All adults should do what is best for children. When adults make decisions, they should think about how their decisions will affect children. This particularly applies to budget, policy, and lawmakers. Article 4. Protection of Rights. Governments have a responsibility to take all available measures to make sure that children's rights are respected, protected, and fulfilled. This involves assessing their social services, legal health, and educational systems, as well as all levels of funding for these services. Governments are then obliged to take necessary steps to ensure that the minimum standards set by the Convention in these areas are being met. They must help families protect children's rights and create an environment where they can grow and reach their potential. Article 5. Parental Guidance. Governments should respect the rights and responsibilities of families to direct and guide their children, so that as they grow, they learn to use their rights properly. Helping children to understand their rights does not mean pushing them to make choices with consequences that they are too young to handle. Article 5 encourages parents to deal with rights, issues, in a manner consistent with the evolving capacities of the child. It thus places on governments the responsibility to protect and assist families in fulfilling their essential role as nurturers of children. Article 6. Survival and Development. Children have the right to live. Governments should ensure that children survive and develop healthily. That's why many countries prohibit abortions, because they believe, as stated in Article 6, that children have the right to live. Article 7. Registration, name, nationality, care. All children have the right to a legally registered name, officially recognized by the government. Of course, children have the right to a nationality, to belong to a country. Children also have the right to know and, as far as possible, to be cared by their parents. Article 8. Preservation of identity. Children have the right to an identity, an official record of who they are. And government should respect children's right to a name, a nationality, and family ties. Article 9. Separation from parents. Children have the right to live with their parents unless it is bad for them. Children whose parents do not live together have the right to stay in contact with both parents unless this might hurt the child. Article 10. Family reunification. Families whose members live in different countries should be allowed to move between those countries so that parents and children can stay in contact or get back together as a family. Article 11. Kidnapping. Governments should take steps to stop children being taken out of their own country illegally. This article is particularly concerned with parental abductions. The Convention's optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography has a provision that concerns abduction for financial gain. Article 12. When adults are making decisions that affect children, children have the right to say what they think should happen and have their opinions taken into account. And this does not mean that children can now tell their parents what to do. This convention encourages adults to listen to the opinions of children and involve them in decision making, not give children authority over adults. Article 13. Freedom of expression. Children have the right to get and share information as long as the information is not damaging to them or others. And in exercising the right to freedom of expression, children have the responsibility to also respect the rights, freedoms, and reputations of others. The freedom of expression includes the right to share information in any way they choose, including by talking, drawing, or writing. Article 14. Freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Children have the right to think and believe what they want and to practice their religion, as long as they are not stopping other people from enjoying their rights. Moreover, parents should help guide their children in these matters. The Convention respects the rights and duties of parents in providing religious and moral guidance to their children. For the Convention supports children's right to examine their beliefs, but it also states that their right to express their beliefs implies respect for the rights and freedoms of others. Article 15. Freedom of association. Children have the right to meet together and to join groups and organizations, as long as it does not stop other people from enjoying their rights. And in exercising their rights, children have the responsibility to respect the rights, freedoms, and reputations of others as well. Article 16. Right to privacy. Children have a right to privacy. The law should protect them from attacks against their way of life, their good name, their families, and their homes. Article 17. Access to information, mass media. Children have the right to get information that is important to their health and well-being. Governments should encourage mass media, including radio, television, newspapers, and internet content sources, to provide information that children can understand, and to not promote materials that could harm children. Mass media should particularly be encouraged to supply information in languages that its minority and indigenous children can understand. Children should also have access to children's books. Article 18. Parental responsibilities, state assistance. Both parents share responsibility for bringing up their children and should always consider what is best for a child. Governments must respect the responsibility of parents for providing appropriate guidance to their children. It places a responsibility on governments to provide support services to parents, especially if both parents are working outside the home. Article 19. Protection from all forms of violence. Children have the right to be protected from being hurt and mistreated physically or mentally. And so, governments should ensure that children are properly cared for and protect them from violence, abuse, and neglect by their parents or anyone who looks after them. And in terms of discipline, the Convention does not specify what forms of punishment parents should use. However, any form of discipline involving violence is unacceptable. There are ways to discipline children that are effective in helping children learn about family and social expectations for their behavior. Those ways that are nonviolent and appropriate to the child's level of development. Article 20. Children deprived of family environment. Children who cannot be looked after by their own family have a right to special care and must be looked after properly by people who respect their ethnic group, religion, culture, and language. Those people who will not hurt, abuse, or exploit them. Article 21. Adoption. Children have the right to care and protection if they are adopted or in foster care. The first concern must be what is best for them. The same rules should apply whether they are adopted in the country where they were born or if they are taken to live in another country. Article 22. Refugee Children. Children have the right to special protection and help if they are refugees, if they have been forced to leave their home and live in another country, as well as all the rights in this convention. And although they are refugees' children, they are all entitled of all the rights mentioned in this convention. Article 23. Children with disabilities. Children who have any kind of disability have the right to special care and support, as well as all the rights in the convention, so that they can live fully and independent lives. Article 24. Health and Health Services. Children have the right to good quality health care, the best health care possible, to safe drinking water, nutritious food, a clean and safe environment, and information to help them stay healthy. Rich countries should help poorer countries to achieve this. Article 25. Review of treatment in care. Article 25. Review of treatment in care. Children who are looked after by their local authorities rather than their parents have the right to have these living arrangements looked at regularly to see if they are the most appropriate. Their care and treatment should always be based on the best interests of the child. Article 26. Social Security. Children, either through their guardians or directly, have the right to help from the government if they are poor or in need. Government should provide all the needs and support for the child to have a comfort living. Article 27. Adequate standard of living. Children have the right to a standard of living that is good enough to meet their physical and mental needs. Governments should help families and guardians who cannot afford to provide this, particularly with regard to food, clothing, and housing. Article 28. Right to education. All children have the right to a primary education which should be free. Wealthy countries should help poorer countries to achieve this right. And for children to benefit from education, schools must be run in an orderly way, without the use of violence. Any form of school discipline should take into account the child's human dignity. Therefore, governments must ensure that school administrators review their discipline policies and eliminate any discipline practices involving physical or mental violence, abuse, or neglect. Article 29. Goals of Education. Children's education should develop each child's personality, talents, and abilities to the fullest. It should encourage children to respect others' human rights and their own and other cultures. It should also help them to learn to live peacefully, protect the environment, and respect other people. Children have a particular responsibility to respect the rights of their parents, and education should aim to develop respect for the values and culture of their parents. Article 30. Children of minorities, indigenous groups. Minority or indigenous children have the right to learn about and practice their own culture, language, and religion. The right to practice one's own culture, language, and religion applies to everyone. The convention here highlights this right in instances where the practices are not shared by the majority of people in the country. Article 31. Leisure, Play, and Culture. Children have the right to relax and play, and to join in a wide range of cultural, artistic, and other recreational activities. Children are allowed to engage themselves in any activities they wish to join. Article 32. Child Labor. The government should protect children from work that is dangerous or might harm their health or their education. And while the convention protects children from harmful and exploitative work, there is nothing in it that prohibits parents from expecting their children to help out at home in any ways that are safe and, of course, appropriate to their age. Children's work should not jeopardize any of their other rights, including the right to education or the right to relaxation and play. Article 33. Drug abuse. Governments should use all means possible to protect children from the use of harmful drugs and from being used in the drug trade. Children should not engage in any transactions or trade connected to drugs. Article 34. Sexual exploitation. Governments should protect children from all forms of sexual exploitation and abuse. This provision in the Convention is augmented by the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. Article 35. Abduction, sale, and trafficking. The government should take all measures possible to make sure that children are not abducted, sold, or trafficked. This provision is also augmented by the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography. Article 36. Other forms of exploitation. Children should be protected from any activity. Article 37. Detention and punishment. No one is allowed to punish children in a cruel or harmful way. Children who break the law should not be treated cruelly. They should not be put in prison with adults, should be able to keep in contact with their families, and should not be sentenced to death or life imprisonment without any possibility of release. Article 38. War and Armed Conflicts. Governments must do everything they can do to protect and care for children affected by war. Children under 15 should not be forced or recruited to take part in a war or join the armed forces. The Convention's optional protocol in the involvement of children in armed conflict further develops this right, raising the age for direct participation in armed conflict to 18 and establishing a ban on compulsory recruitment for children under the age of 18. Article 39. Rehabilitation of child victims. Children who have been neglected, abused, or exploited should receive special help to physically and psychologically recover and reintegrate into society. Particular attention should be paid to restoring the health, self-respect, and dignity of the child. Article 40. Juvenile Justice. Children who are accused of breaking the law have the right to legal help and fair treatment in a justice systems that respect their rights. Governments are required to set a minimum age below which children cannot be held criminally responsible, and to provide minimum guarantees for the fairness and quick resolution of judicial or alternative proceedings. Article 41. Respect for superior national standards. If the laws of a country provide better protection of children's rights than the articles in this convention, those laws should apply. And lastly, Article 42. Knowledge of rights. Governments should make the convention known to adults and children. Adults should help children learn about their rights. And that would be all. Thank you for watching.